It's that Skydive Sim guy here with my friend Daniele Tancredi. Did I get that right, Daniel?
Yes,
Yeah.
This time you got it right.
Yeah, the last name got me a little bit. Daniel, you and I have known each other for a long time. We met at Skydive Spaceland. Tell me a little bit about how you started in skydiving, how long you've been skydiving.
So yeah, a little bit of background. I started skydiving about 11 years ago, or over 10 years. Let's call it 11. I always wanted to do it, right? My dad was airborne in the Army. So it's a dream I always had. You know, you look up to your dad, it's like role model. And always wanted to do it. But when I lived back at home, I'm an only child. And my mom didn't want me to do it because she always said, well, I spent the last however many years of my life worrying about that, not coming home and having an accident. Now you're going to start when he stopped. So it never really happened. Although I kind of like tried to push my dad. Is like, hey, could you use your friends and have them take me, do things? I don't know. Then fast forward, I moved to the US when I was 25, got a job. And one day I was bored, more bored than usual, I guess, and picked up the phone. I was living in Massachusetts, so I called Skydive Pepperell, and I'm like, hey, I want to skydive. And they're like, oh, yeah, you want to do a tandem? It's like, no, I want to skydive. All right. Thursday morning, show up. We're going to do a couple of sessions in the tunnel, I think, and then we're going to take you up and jump. And I'm still very close friends to my first two AFF instructors.
Wow, cool.
Friendship lasted. It's like they were in Houston not too long ago, and we hang out like every evening. Like they're close friends.
Very cool. So you said they took you in the tunnel first over there?
Yeah. At the time, I think what they were teaching is a slightly variation of like the standard AFF, and it was like a progression that included tunnel. So you could jump with just one instructor after your second jump, or I don't remember. It's been a long time, but something like that.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So how many jumps you got now?
So I stopped counting around 2,500, and that was years ago.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, 4,000 or 5,000.
Wow. And you do mostly swooping, right? I've seen you on the plane. Every time I would see you before we knew each other, you were the first one out.
No, I only do.
You only do swooping, yeah. Well, you're a very talented canopy pilot. I mean, I've seen you come down. I don't swoop myself, but I mean, I've seen you. You're one of the best I've seen. So that's super cool. And I was pretty excited actually when we talked about Skydive Sim back one day, and you were actually interested in trying it because I was like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. I got to see what he thinks. And then I asked you, and your initial impressions were at somebody else's house. Tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I think I was at somebody else's house. I don't remember who, but I know that DJ had his set, right? They were playing with it. I'm like, hey, let me try. And I tried, and I couldn't even get to the canopy part, if I remember correctly. I just tried the free fall, and I was like, I haven't been in free fall in like 5, 6, 7 years at the time. I don't know what I'm doing. And also at the time, I think that was physics 1.0, right?
Yeah.
And the software changed completely in the last couple of years. 1 year. But still, the very first impression I got, it was like just putting those goggles on, which was my second time in my life trying VR.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the first time doesn't even count because it was somewhere in the 90s, early 2000s. It was one of those like prototype VR sets that you would get like, if you were working in that type of world and stuff. And they were horrible. Actually trying a modern VR set, I'm like, holy crap, this is so smooth, so borderless, right? It's like you just look around and the whole world moves with you. It's not like there is no layer there.
Right.
So that was really cool. And that was impressive. Then I haven't looked at your software at the Skydiving Sim years until we talked about it.
Yeah.
Maybe 6 months ago.
I think, you helped me build the expert setting, fine tune it. And I mean, a lot of people like that setting, by the way. They're like, man, I love that expert setting. I'm like, well, I wish I could take credit for that. But my friend Daniel came over and helped me set that up.
Yeah. I mean, it was teamwork. You did the hard work. I was just like, oh, make this faster, make this slower, longer, shorter. Like,
I mean, it definitely teamwork, but it takes somebody that knows what they're talking about to talk you through that, because it's not always the same in VR. You know, you're flying your canopy in the real world, and then you're trying to mimic it in a VR world. It throws you off, right?
100%. Actually, I probably underestimated how hard it is for me to remember the way my canopy fly if I'm not flying it. And the main reason I've been thinking about this actually is because 90% of the flying is done with a part of the body that is not involved in VR.
Right.
It's like it's all about the ass, right? When you fly, like you literally fly the harness with your hip and offsetting. And when your canopy starts going, you feel the acceleration in your body, and that's really the main clue. It's not the visual clue; it's actually feeling that acceleration, the way the canopy pulls you around, and that part is not there.
It's not there in VR, yeah. And sensors are coming out, so in the future, I can see us wearing the sensors and just be able to actually have those harness inputs. But for now, I mean, I catch myself doing it all the time still. In VR, I'm moving my body, try to kind of turn to a certain direction, but I know it doesn't work. So,
it's hard. But again, like when we were trying, and the more we did it, the better we got at it. But at the beginning, I would try to turn the canopy in the VR sim. I'll be like, is this faster or slower than it should be? I don't know. I should know, but
it's something you don't think about, right? Because when you're actually under a canopy, it's kind of automated. Like you do things, you don't think about, oh, I got to do this. You just kind of do it, right?
Yeah. And the whole body is there to tell you it's right or wrong. It's not just your eyes and,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of simulations, let's talk about what you do for a living. I mean, it's pretty impressive. You actually create simulations for NASA. Is that part of what you do?
Yeah, I used to actually. I just had a slight change of tasks with my work. But yeah, for the past 6 years, I was developing and implementing manual control simulation. So the Artemis program, which is what's supposed to bring mankind back to the moon, right?
Okay.
There are several phases in a mission, and one of these phases will involve a docking to station, payloads, proximity operation, that stuff. And NASA always wants the astronaut to be able to manually control these phases, right? Even though I'm not sure, but if I had to take a guess, a lot of it is automated at this point. There always needs to be manual control if an astronaut is on board.
Okay.
So if it's a manned spacecraft, the human needs to be in control. So I was developing the simulation for these specific phases, these specific tasks. Done that for about 6 years. And then in the last 6 months, I think, 6 months ago, just about this time we started working together, they switched me from the simulation team to the navigation team. So now I'm doing a lot of navigation analysis.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys got an award for the simulation though, right?
Kind of. It was more for like some studies we did with it, not specific related to the simulation. I don't think I can actually talk about it, but it was about, but it was basically following the debrief of Artemis 1 launch that happened in November 2022, I think.
Okay.
A couple of years ago. Oh, man, I should know that. Because the day it launched was also the same day I got my citizenship, my American citizenship.
Oh, wow. Congrats, man.
Yeah. Thank you. But I forgot the year. A couple of years ago. But anyway, basically, we use the same to verify certain behaviors that happen during the mission, and we did a fairly good job, and people recognized it.
That's pretty awesome, man. It's pretty cool to actually get feedback from someone who does that kind of simulation on Skydive Sim. You know, I guess I'm lucky to have known you from Spaceland.
Yeah, I mean, I still can't believe it, honestly. The job I do, I feel like I was just at the right place, the right time.
I'm sure you're very talented too. They don't just hire somebody and say, "Hey, come do this."
They needed someone with my very specific set of skills, and so at the time, NASA was using this software to do certain stuff, and this software, I basically was working for the people making the software.
Okay,
and not just making the software. I was doing quality control on the feature that NASA was using in the context of the project.
I see.
So I'm like, guys, for the 6 years, that's all I've been looking at, this specific feature that you guys need to be implemented. Unless I'm a complete idiot, I can do it. And everybody's like, yeah, sure.
That's awesome, man. So, I saw you post recently. There was a swooping that you posted on Facebook. I think it was a memorable story for you. I'm kind of curious if you can give me some background on that.
Yeah, you're talking about the one where I almost frapped into a tree.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the one.
So that was 7 years ago, 6 years ago. Was just learning how to swoop, right? Still flying my katana, which is for many people probably the first actually high performance canopy. I'm going to kill you type of canopy, right?
Okay.
And at the time, so let me can I go back a little bit?
Go for it.
Give you a little bit more background. So I'm an aerospace engineer, right? Studied aerospace engineering, got 3 degrees in it. I know the theory fairly well. I know how things fly. I know the equations. But the problem is there, when I started skydiving, I wanted to learn how to swim. Goes teach me how to swim.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, at the time, maybe it was my personal attitude, maybe it was the environment, I don't know, but I'll take responsibility for it. I was lacking a mentor, right? I can just teach myself. It's easy. I've seen the YouTube videos, right? So that's all I need. I was pretty bad. I was bad. Like bounce bingo bad, right? Everybody at my home drops and is like, it's a matter of time. He's gonna hit the ground and die. It's fine.
Wow.
So one day I was swooping, quote unquote, right? And I didn't know, but this guy called Greg Miller, I'm sure you've heard of him.
Yeah.
One of the most important and, important mentors and canopy coaches and swoopers in the world, right?
Right.
Greg Miller is an institution.
Yeah.
He was there teaching a basic canopy class, right? And I do a swoop before his students or whatever. It was probably pretty bad. I don't remember, honestly, if it was bad or good. But it was bad, given my skill set at the time. Then I'm picking up my canopy, like the lines. And, at some point, the sun goes away. It's like, are we expecting an eclipse right now? Like, I don't think we are. And I look up, and there's like this mountain of a man. It's like, Greg Miller is just a big presence of a man. It's like former Army Rangers, like just build like a brick house.
I'm imagining you're in the shadow then. Is that?
Yeah, I look up and I'm like, hey. And with this, like, he has a very kind voice when he wants to be kind. He's like, hey, buddy. I'm like, what? It's like, you either stop doing whatever the F you think you're doing right now before you kill yourself, or you learn how to do it properly. I'm like, I'd like to learn how to do it properly. But it's like, all right, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., my class, show up and I'll teach you. And that was the beginning of my friendship with Greg. Again, we're still friends after many years. He's one of those people that he the loyalty to him. It's just he's an incredible person. And I start working with him more and more and more, and he's the one who put me on a good progression with Canopy stuff. So fast forward to maybe like 6 months, a year later, I don't know. I was in Paraclete, South Carolina, where he's based. Skydive Paraclete in Raleigh, right?
Okay.
I was there. I was doing a soup camp, and this soup camp, they last like 5 days, like a week or something. And you start early in the morning, and you do like jump, pack, jump, pack, jump, pack to debrief. Like you do 12, 15 jumps in a day. Like it's like
Yeah.
a process, right? It's for the whole week, we had this very strong push from back. So we had to set up really far away from the pond, and the wind would push you into your path, right? Into your line.
Okay.
I was very uncomfortable with that at the beginning, but hey, trust Greg, that's the right thing to do, and it was the right thing to do. You just do it, and all right, cool.
Yeah.
Friday afternoon, I think we're done with training. It's like, guys, we had a lot of jumps, we got tired, we call it here. Cool, all right. I go take a nap. I'll wake up a couple of hours later, and I'm just, I'm still this young gung-ho jumper, 400 or 500 jumps. Like, I need to get jumps. I need to make jumps. I'm going to manifest. I'm going to make others. And didn't think of checking the wind. I'm like, it's like, I've been doing this all week. It's the same thing all week. I just keep doing it. I can't do it by myself. Right. So I did it. Didn't realize that the wind completely died, or rather the push completely died. The wind at the ground was the same, but there was no push from the back. And I found myself not clearing the obstacles as I used to do the whole week.
Yeah.
And at the time, again, Katana, the very first canopy that will put you in a bad situation, you're not on top of it. I didn't realize that until I was doing a 270 degrees turn, and I probably was 180 degrees before I realized, okay, you're gonna have a problem now.
What went through your head then? You got out of it?
What went through my head actually was teachings that I had from mentors. Is like, if something doesn't look right, toggles. Get on toggles, buy yourself time, buy yourself altitude, slow down the canopy, slow down what's happening. So that now at the time I had maybe 500 jumps, now I have 5,000 jumps. It's still a good. It's like, if you don't like what you're seeing, go to toggles. And that is probably what saved me, because by going to toggles, I could slow down my turn. I could save altitude enough to clear the little opening in the trees. And at the time, my brain is like, if you don't make that opening, you're dead.
Yeah.
I made it.
Yeah, you did. I saw the video. I mean, from what I saw, I'm sure it was a lot more intense being at the moment than actually seeing it in a video. But it was close. It was like you were right there.
No, I hit the trees.
Oh, you do hit it.
Got my legs over the trees. Yeah. Like when I landed, my legs had like little bleeding.
Oh wow!
Scrapping.
Okay, so it was even closer than I thought, because it looks like you're right there, but it was even closer.
Yeah, I was one of those cases where 0.1 seconds later, being on toggles, I would have hit the tree with my body.
Well, wow. Well, I'm glad you thought of the toggles. And is that so? Now, what do you do now to prep for jumps? Now that you have 10 more times the amount of jumps?
Yeah, about 10 times the number of jumps. Well, the thing is, I got a lot better at having a process. It's my process. When I gear up a Spaceland, my locker or whatever, it is right in front of the window, and the window looks over the pond, and I can see the windsock. So I will always look in the windsock throughout the last 20 minutes. When I'm on a 20-minute call, I will start looking at the windsock regularly. I always check the website, markschultz.com, with the winds throughout your turn. I will not get in the plane unless I do that, or I ask someone that has just jumped and I trust, hey, what are the uppers doing? Where's the push coming from? And that's good enough.
Yeah.
I will not get in the plane unless I have an idea. Which doesn't mean that it's the right idea. You will still make mistakes. You will still be getting something unexpected. But at least I can try to control that. I think, the big difference about myself between now and 10 years ago, it's all about the mindset. I grew up to be a little bit more methodical with skydiving.
Yeah.
I learned that I had to do. I've had a couple of jumps again years ago where I was maybe a little, depressed about stuff and life. And I was being very complacent with stuff. And I got myself into very easily avoidable malfunctions, reserve rights, situation that were just due to me not caring.
Right.
It was like we were doing wingsuit jumps. Believe it or not, I've done wingsuiting.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, maybe 25, 50 wingsuit flights.
Cool.
Give or take. Yeah, never got past the beginner's stage.
Yeah.
It was not for me. But I was dealing with some personal issues, pretty sad stuff. And I'm doing this vlog, 5 people, let's call it 5 people wingsuiting with my friends. Before exiting the plane, I go and I check my pilot sheet, right?
Yeah.
And I can't find it. And I'm like, what's a pilot sheet? It's right there. And like, where would the pilot sheet go, right? And again, that goes because I was dealing with personal issues and my mind wasn't.
Right.
So it wasn't being confident. I couldn't care less. And so I exit the plane. We do our wingsuit jump. Everything goes well. Break off doesn't go as well as I wanted. There was someone above me. So I'm like, all right, we are like, hold on. Yeah, something like that. So I'm like, I'm below the guy. I'll just gonna go head down on my wingsuit, just burn altitude before I open my parachute. And I'm a little lower than I want to. I reach my parachute, and my parachute is still not there.
Man.
Turns out it got stuck between the wingsuit and the rig, or maybe in the pouch. It was not reachable. So I reached again. I tried a couple of times. Try more than a couple of times because, again, not the right thing to do. But I was in that mindset where I'm like, I don't care. Start spinning. All right, fine. That's a little too low. I look down around. Gonna go straight to reserve. And I beat the 80, I think. But it was not my brightest moment. And that come again for being in a bad mindset.
Right. Skydiving is just one of those sports you cannot just not be all there. You can't just say, I'm just going to go do a jump. I'm halfway up, or I'm sleepy, but I'm just going to go do it.
Yeah, your mind needs to be 100% in it, and your heart too. It's not like a soccer match with your friends. You have other thoughts in your head, and you're maybe going to play.
Yeah.
Or leave.
For sure.
Not score a goal or take a goal. Here, it might mean that bad stuff happens.
Right. It makes sense. And I mean, you do actually do canopy coaching as well, right? So like, and do you do beginners or do you do advanced like swooping or all of the above?
I've been doing beginner class, fundamental class.
Yeah.
For the last 2-3 years.
Okay.
It's been a minute. And I want to start teaching more advanced stuff, coaching,
right.
90-degree turns, 270s. It's a process. And as a person coaching that, that's a lot. That's a lot. I'm also a skinner person. Like, I've taken a lot of coaching with a lot of coaches. Greg Miller, already mentioned, Kurt Bartholomew, Genie, Nick Patch, Cornelia Mihai, all the best coaches in the world. And I have a lot of respect for them. And, they look at your turn and it's like, you need to turn 50 feet lower. And I'm like, crap. Do I? Like, that's a lot. Like, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
You can do it. And you do it, and it turns out to be fine.
Yeah.
But man, telling that to someone, you have to trust yourself a lot.
I bet.
More than if you just do it yourself, because you're putting another person in that situation. And,
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I don't soup. I don't know if I ever will do it. I'll do it in Skydive Sim, not that we got front risers, but like you said, it's just one of those things that, I mean, there's very little margin for error, right?
Yeah. I can bring you numbers into that. I'm an analytical person. I work by numbers.
Yeah.
That's what I do. So, the recovery arc, right? That's when you finish your soup, you're in a straight line, and you're waiting for your canopy to reach the ground and plane out and drag water.
Yeah.
So that's the recovery arc in time. And I'm shooting for recovery arc. It is about 3.3 seconds. That's right now the perfect recovery arc for me. If I am around 4.5 seconds, I lose speed. I can feel that I don't have power. I don't enjoy my swim. It's just like, I'll just want to get over it, do it again. If I am below 2.7, 2.6 is what the world champions do.
Yeah.
Right? Less than that, you're dead. It's too short. The canopy is not recovered. You might get away with it. You might not.
Too risky
But
at that
you're
point.
probably going to have a bad day. So the margin of error is what? A second between the best swoop you can do, your swoop, and then maybe another second for a bad swoop like that is just slow. And so you're really working within that second window.
Yeah, that's why you really have to be there, right? Like you have to be there 100%, 110% to be able to pull that off. Not a lot of people do it. I enjoy just jumping and landing it safely. I don't, I don't really know if I'll ever be able to get that involved in it.
It's a personal choice.
It is.
Oh, it's a huge commitment. When I chose to swoop, I quit doing everything else in skydiving.
Yeah.
My rationale was I'm still a weekend warrior, right? I'm not a full-time skydiver. I show up every time I can, but it's still a hobby. And if I want to do this thing, I need to devote every minute I have to it. I don't expect other people to make that choice. I can see why you wouldn't. You enjoy other things.
Right.
It's great.
Right. For sure.
That's what I want to do.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for joining me. Let me ask you this before we go, actually. Do you see Skydive Sim or simulators like that changing our sport, changing the skydiving world? Like for somebody that's new or someone that's already been in there, what are your thoughts?
Yes and no. And I'll tell you the no first. I don't see someone choosing to stay home and play with the sim rather than going skydiving. Right?
Yeah.
Just not gonna happen. As much as I like the sim, and we always have a great time when we play together, right? Especially playing with you, flying with Brian Germain.
Yeah.
Big shoes to fill, like doing this right after my interview.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So I don't see the world of skydive being uprooted by it.
Oh, totally not.
Skydiving sim is complementary thing to skydive, right?
I agree.
I could totally see people being frustrated with the weather for I've been on weather for 6 months, but at least I can play with the sim.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, I'm into skydiving, but my kid is 6 years old. Here, skydive with me, right? Those things.
Yeah.
People that would not skydive because there is a lot of people like, oh, I would never do that. It's like, well, try the sim. I mean, all right, this is a bit fun. Let me try the real thing. Like, it certainly is something that complements skydive.
Right.
But I don't see skydiving being changed.
Well, yeah, I
Right?
agree.
That makes sense.
I don't think it's going to change either. And I think you have the perfect word for it. It's complementing it. So like if I had somebody write me that said they used to only jump one stage with canopies with one stage flare. And now that they've gone back into sport, they had a hard time landing. And he actually wrote me and said, my flares, my landings are rocking now because I've been practicing in the sim. He just wanted to go up, which he said he uses the jet packs to get back up, let go, and then just land. Just go to final every time to be able to just kind of get that in your head as far as the flare.
Man, simulations are great for this.
Yeah.
But with skydiving, we can't really repeat the same thing over and over. You have to go through the whole jump if you want to practice your.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can practice up high, but not the same thing.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I've tried doing it next to the clouds. Okay, let's see how it feels. But I mean, until you see that ground coming rushing at you, it's just something different.
Yeah.
I remember when I started out, I mean, I would always, that last 10 seconds, it's like, it's coming, PLF, you know. Yeah.
So again, skydiving sim is a tool that can be used as an actual learning tool, and it can work that way. You have already one experience where it worked that way, and I believe it can. But if you want to use it as a learning tool, then you have a huge responsibility on you, right? You need to do the right thing with it.
Or have coaching, right? Like have somebody that can teach you still. It's kind of like you don't just go out and jump out of a plane on your own. So don't try to learn it on your own. Okay, I've done the sim. I've got 100 jumps in the sim, so I'm ready. I can just go out there. It's not meant for that.
And at some point, someone will do that.
I sure hope not. You know, it reminds me of the movie Gran Turismo, where the kid, it was actually based on a real life story where he was the best driving in the video game, and they made him into a race car driver, you know. Yeah, but I mean, so much coaching went into that. It wasn't like, okay, I'm just going to jump behind the car and do it in real life, because all the emotions and everything are so different when you're doing it in the real world.
100%. I mean, you see that with the tunnel, right? People can get really good in the tunnel. They should still not assume that they're good skydivers.
Exactly.
But the skill transfer is there.
It does help a lot. Yeah, I mean, and tunnel is actually harder for me at first. When I started, they put me in the tunnel, and I'm like hitting the glass left, right, back, forward. It's like you really realize in the sky you're just all over the place, and when your coach is chasing you, they're really working hard to do so.
Yeah. Well, there's no cheating in the tunnel. It's like if you're drifting.
Yeah. So it definitely helps. I guess things like that can definitely help out. Yeah.
So I love to see where skydiving sim is going. Again, just the last 6 months we worked together.
Yeah.
It's been fantastic, right?
It has been.
I'm really happy with that expert betting. It looks really good.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy following it. Give it another 6 months. I don't know where it will be.
No kidding. I mean, and now we have where people can actually dial in their own canopy settings. So I can't wait to see what they come up with and kind of share that with us, which would be pretty cool. Just try flying somebody else's settings.
Yeah, no, it's great. Again, it's a great tool, and it's also fun. And you could say, "Oh, well, I'm just gonna treat it like a video game, and I don't care that people are gonna use it as a skydiving supplement." But that would be limiting your possibilities. Like what it can do.
And I mean, I found out that Brian Germain told me that it was the Polish army that was already using it for their training, which was pretty amazing to me. I didn't know. I mean, it's like, these are the sort of things I'm like, okay, maybe I haven't wasted my time all this time, working on a simulator, because people are actually using it for training. But for me, it's a lot of fun. When we play, when I jump in there with, exactly, a passion project where I jump in with different people and do a jump. Anybody around the world, no matter if the sun's out or not, So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
I'm loving it. And as I said, now I think you're kind of like at the fork in the road, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey man, you could like really make it like a simulation or treat it as a video game, and there are pros and cons
to both, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, I'm sure we'll be working on it a lot more together. And
yeah, I would love to.
Yeah,
Man.
definitely.
That's the idea.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you.
Recently, work has been kicking my ass.
Yeah, you've been busy then?
Super busy with work. Yeah, very busy.
Yeah. Well, I do appreciate you coming on and talking to me, giving me your background experience for everybody else. I know a lot of it, but, just really glad to have a moment and talk with you.
Yeah, no, anytime. I'll always love talking to you, and kind of weird to do it like in front of a camera.
Yeah, for sure. But, for the people that are listening to it, if they want to see your soups and stuff, I'm going to put some of your links on the description.
For sure.
And that way they can kind of see what we're talking about, some of the stories and everything else, and also see some of your really badass soups that you have on your channel as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you later.
Yeah, talk to you later, man. Bye.